You may remember Karl Manke. We told you about him this past summer. He's the 77-year-old from Owasso, Michigan. He's a barber who defied Governor Whitmer's executive order to close his business during the COVID-19 pandemic. Manke kept his shop open, and although he took all the recommended coronavirus health precautions, the state pulled his barbering license. The Michigan State Supreme Court recently said the governor's executive orders are unlawful. They declared them unconstitutional. As a result, a county prosecutor has dropped all charges against Manke. Well, Karl Manke joins us now from his shop in Owasso, Michigan. Karl, this was great news for you, but I understand your license is yet to be restored. Tell us about that.
Well, my license has been restored. It was restored back at the Supreme Court. Michigan Supreme Court ruled 7-0 against the governor's actions that she returned my license without a hearing, because she didn't give me a hearing. It was more of a police state tactic, which was pretty typical of this governor. So they had to return my license, but now they're giving me the hearing. So, but nonetheless, I predict that it'll probably go the same way as these other things have. The Supreme Court also came back against her and said that everything that she has done after April 30th of this year is invalid. So it's she's having to start all over again with a lot of things, and she's shifting things around, trying to somehow or other save face. But the Supreme Court has pretty much ruled against her.
Well, I understand the Supreme Court, the state Supreme Court, said she needed to have legislative approval on these things. You just can't go and pass laws without the legislature. That isn't what the governor does. Well, I remember the start of the summer, 10 Michigan state troopers descended on your shop just to serve you that cease and desist order. That seemed a bit excessive to most people. Why did that happen, Karl, and how did most Michiganders respond to that?
Well, for the most part, those guys were doing the job that they were, they have to do. I have a good relationship with the law and order, the police departments. I understood it, that they had to do that. They had to bring those in. I offered them all a haircut. I said that they looked like they needed one, and they came in, but there was no resistance here. I had families throughout this barber shop. Good heavens, I remember that day because I had quadruplets in here, and they were jumping around and just having fun with being kids. And these all of a sudden these stormtroopers come in, with all serious. Well, I kind of softened it up a little bit by, I had no hostility against them. They were just doing their job.
How did the local media depict you there? Were they depicting you as someone standing up for your constitutional rights or as a crazed, reckless barber?
Well, I think, that's a good point here. I've been thinking this over. They really didn't support me, but that was okay. I would much rather err on the side of being a little crazy, pushing the edge maybe a little hard, than ever err on the side of where people would consider that I was walking the same path as cowards. I can't do that. So I would much rather take the road that I've taken, regardless of our local newspaper here is pretty left.
Has anyone in your shop gotten COVID-19, Karl?
No, none that I've ever heard. They contact trace, from my understanding is that they contact traced 3,000 people that had gone through this shop. Those that they weren't all getting haircuts. A lot of them were just coming in to support me. And nobody got COVID. So, this has been 6 months and I'm still standing here. I haven't gotten COVID.
And I know you've always said the reason you wanted to stay open is you had to feed your family. You had to pay your bills. So how is business now? Is it still down or bouncing back?
Well, it's off a little bit. It's off a little bit. There's still people that see it sort of distresses me that we are developing a nation of neurotics, with this stuff. And there isn't a good balance, of information that's coming from both sides of this thing. There are scientists that are saying that at this point now, that original narrative has been turned on its head, that we're not all dying. There were not 2 million of us or 2.5 million of us dying of COVID. our hospitals are not overrun. But we don't hear that news. We only hear the fearful stuff, and I like that little anachronism, or an acronym called FEAR, F-E-A-R, false evidence appearing real. And that kind of fits this whole narrative right now that the government is putting out.
Okay, quickly, Karl, because we're running out of time. Finally, what do you say to governors of other states that are still shut down?
Stand up, open up. Quit acting like a neurotic. Look at the science behind this thing. Don't just look at your political career. Look at the truth behind this stuff. I challenge those guys. They're cowards. They won't stand on the side of what's true and right. They stand on the side of what's politically correct for them at the particular time for their own advancement.
Okay. The man who stood up for the Constitution in Owasso, Michigan, Karl Manke. Thank you for sharing with us today.
Thank you.